The water is a terrible confessor. It takes secrets to the bottom and smooths away all the edges. We search for a smoking gun, but sometimes the only thing left is a perfectly composed face. A face belonging to someone who was willing to let chaos swallow her best friend whole. This is the story of a perfect drowning, and the friend who orchestrated her own perfect alibi. We're talking about Maya and Liam. They weren't just friends, they were co-conspirators in their own success, until one of them decided the partnership had to end. And the difference between an accident and a calculated silence, it's often just 4 minutes of dark, open water. Their lives were built on shared ambition, two towers of success rising side by side. They had everything to lose. And the first story Maya told was flawless, built like one of her own architectural models. Detective Jensen, walk me through the end one last time, Maya. Every detail matters. The weather, the conversation, the moment you weighed anchor. Maya, we were anchored 50 yards from shore. It was quiet. We were talking about a new venture. Liam was animated, very enthusiastic, standing near the bow, leaning out to see the moon on the water. The boat started to rock gently, and he reached back for the rail, missed it, and went over. It was so fast. One scream, then the splash, and then nothing. I threw the life preserver immediately. I panicked and called 911 right after, starting the engine to search, but the water swallowed him instantly. Jensen, so in that moment you made a series of critical, rational decisions. Throw the preserver, call emergency services, start the engine. Yet your 911 call log shows a 4-minute gap between what you claim was the time of the splash and when you actually dialed. 4 minutes of silence on the lake. What were you doing in those 4 minutes? Maya, I was paralyzed, frozen in shock. I was screaming for him, staring into the black water. Every moment felt like an hour. I was terrified. That was the initial crack. 4 minutes of emotional paralysis, a human explanation for an inhuman delay. But then came the toxicology report, a flaw in her foundation. Jensen, you told us you had 1 glass of wine. Your blood work shows you were likely well over the limit when he went under. You lied about your level of intoxication to minimize your negligence. Why hold back that crucial information? Maya, shifting, looking down. I lied to protect my future. Yes, I was drinking. And yes, it was an accident. But I knew if I admitted how much, I'd be facing negligent homicide, even though his death was his own fault. I panicked and tried to control the story. I sacrificed the truth of my consumption to save the rest of my life. That's the entire truth, Detective. Chloe, she's trading the small lie for the big one. She's confessed to the DUI cover-up to seal the accidental death narrative. But why did Liam have defensive bruising on his knuckles? Why a deep scuff mark on the rail that matches the hard casing of his phone? This wasn't a man losing his balance, this was a physical confrontation. Jensen, this story is getting tighter, Maya, but it still has holes. We know you were arguing. We have texts between Liam and a financial contact showing extreme desperation about a failing deal, a deal you were a party to. He wasn't just standing there talking about the moon. He was desperate, and we found bruising on his knuckles. So let's stop talking about a tragic fall. Tell me about the fight that led to him falling. Did he swing at you? Was it self-defense? That's what the bruising suggests. Maya, no. We were loud, yes, but he never swung. It was about the deal, the money, the pressure. I was refusing to co-sign another loan for his reckless spending. He was yelling, spitting mad, standing right there, leaning over me, his voice raw with fury. I just wanted him to back away. I swear he was yelling, threatening my reputation, and he lost his footing while gesturing wildly. I didn't push him, I just stood still and watched him fall. She had just constructed the perfect escape hatch. A loud, drunken argument ending in a self-induced accident. It was believable, it was forgivable. But Jensen wasn't done with her architecture yet. He saw the blueprint for the real betrayal. Jensen, you stood still and watched him fall. That's the key. But let's talk about something smaller than a fall, something subtle. We found a small, precise incision on Liam's forearm, too shallow for a knife, too straight for debris. It matches the sterling silver clasp on the bracelet you wear every single day. The one that was touching his skin when you were right up against him fighting. You weren't standing back, Maya. You were pushing. You were hands-on. Now, tell me what Liam threatened you with that made you move from a verbal argument to a physical shove. What was worth drowning your best friend over? Maya, breaking entirely, voice ragged. It wasn't the money, not in the end. He was going to expose a secret, something I confided in him years ago, something I needed to keep buried to protect my family, something that would destroy everything I had built. He found my journal entry about it on my old computer. On that boat, when I refused the loan, he laughed. He said, "You think I care about the money? I'll trade the secret for the signature, or I'll trade it for your ruin." He wasn't upset about the deal, Detective. He was enjoying the power. "Jensen, so you shoved him." Maya, "I shoved him to make him shut up, to make him step back. I didn't shove him to drown him, but when he went over and I saw his head disappear, and I heard the silence. I did throw the preserver, but then I looked at the dark water and I knew. The threat was gone. The monster was sinking, and I stood there for those 4 minutes watching the ripples die. And I chose. I chose the silence over the truth of his evil. I chose to save myself from the public devastation he was planning. It wasn't an act of impulse or self-defense. It was an act of profound, calculated self-preservation against an emotional bomb. The lie she told was not to hide a crime, but to silence the only witness to her ultimate vulnerability. In the end, the perfect architect didn't just design buildings. She designed the perfect silence, and she built that silence on the grave of the one person who knew her deepest secret.